Unwanted, Chapter 35. I crawled out of the water with no sense of time or place. I had no idea how far I had swum. Before me lay a foreign shore, submerged in darkness. Beyond the sandy beach, thick pine shrubs shaped like beach umbrellas grew along a deserted street. The only sound was the ocean's rhythmic murmur. I doubled over and vomited seawater onto the sand. My muscles trembled uncontrollably, and I struggled to remain conscious. My wet clothes smelled like seaweed. Pushing to my feet, I staggered toward the walkway in search of a safe place to rest. A pine shrub with broad branches reaching over the ground created a sanctuary that looked like a small shack. On my hands and knees, I ducked into the darkness, only to encounter two pairs of naked feet entangled next to a pile of clothing. A man's voice called, "Get out, find your own bush. Can't you see we are in the middle of something?" I jerked back outside, too shocked to make a sound. Luckily, it was not difficult for me to find an unoccupied shrub nearby. Under its wide branches, which encircled my body like a canopy, I curled into a fetal position, massaging my shoulders to warm myself, then surrendered to a deep and dreamless sleep. I awoke to the sound of a dog barking and hasty footsteps. Through the dense greenery, shimmering rays of sunlight dappled on the ground with tiny yellow dots. I kept still, praying that my piney shelter would conceal me. Under the curtain of the arching branches, which ended about a foot shy of the sand, I saw the distinctive metal tips of police shoes as they strode back and forth. The recognition paralyzed me with fear. Then the steel toes stopped right in front of me. "Get out of there," a rough voice commanded. I knew I had no choice but to obey. But before I could, I heard rustling from the bush next to mine. The same voice that had yelled at me earlier shakily replied, "We are coming, please, don't shoot." I peeped through the sheer veil of pine needles. A naked couple, with their backs toward me, stood with their heads bowed in front of three policemen. A German shepherd sniffed at their clothes, which hung at the tip of a rifle held in the hand of a policeman. The same policeman pulled at the animal's leash to keep it still. "Show me your IDs," he said to the couple. The man groped through his clothes and pulled out a wallet. Distracted, the dog cocked its head my way and bared its fangs. Unable to help myself, I jumped back fearfully. The dog howled. "Aha," the policeman said, "more trash for us to clean up." I fell back into the cradle of pine branches. The black tip of the rifle poked through and aimed at my chest. "Get out," the owner of the gun said. I wriggled outside, raising my arms up high. One of the policemen pulled me up by the neck of my shirt. He seemed surprised to see me. "What are you doing in there, kid?" he said. His cold rifle nudged against the skin of my belly, threatening to spit fire. I stammered for an answer. I was sleeping. "At the beach next to prostitutes and hustlers?" His eyebrows rose. "Are you homeless?" "No, sir." "Got any ID on you?" "No, sir." "Where do you live?" "La Train, Cluster 6. He turned to his partners. "Comrades, what do you make of this?" One of them pushed past the naked couple. His gaunt face with high cheekbones and a long jaw tightened upon seeing me. Behind a sparse mustache, his thin lips parted in a smile. "Do you know where you are, kid?" I shook my head. Afraid to look straight at him or the dog, I focused my eyes on my bare feet. Green lines of sea scum colored the folds of my skin. The policeman surveyed my crumpled clothing. He reached out to pick a strand of seaweed from my hair. "When did you go swimming, kid?" "Last night," I answered. "What are you doing at a beach 70 kilometers from your home, swimming at night and sleeping under a tree?" His eyes devoured my face like a hungry wolf. "Do you think I'm an idiot? Where are the rest of the escapees?" I'm not an escapee, I said. I don't even know what that word means, sir. Through my mind flashed a lie that I seized as if it were a life preserver. I ran away because it was bad at home. I don't know how I ended up here. Turning to his colleagues, the policeman said, I don't believe this kid. He stinks so bad. Give him a fin and a tail and he would be a fish. I'll take him back to the station and make him talk. You two parade the prostitute and that miserable devil a few laps around the beach to teach them a lesson, and search the coastline for more boat people. He grabbed my shoulder and dragged me down the street. Through a purple horizon, the sun, enormous and glorious, erased the last shadow of night. The sleepy town, beyond the lines of the coconut trees, roused lazily. I could hear the clanging sounds of utensils against clay bowls, and a cock crowed expansively. Up the hill we headed toward a parked jeep. The policeman cuffed my hands behind my back, shoved me in the back seat, and drove off, honking the horn to signal his partners. On the hard pavement, two naked people jogged slowly with their hands behind their necks. Strutting a few feet behind, the policemen stabbed the tips of their guns into one bush after the next as their search for the runaways continued.